Something strange is going on at Tesla. Check this out. Giga Mexico construction did not start this past weekend despite the governor saying it would. We know that the governor said, I asked Tesla to come by in March at the latest to make an announcement around laying the first stone, and they didn't tell me no. This was from February 24th. And then he said Giga Mexico construction will begin on March 3rd. So that was yesterday, but I cannot find anything about anything having begun. So something strange is going on. Maybe at Tesla, maybe Tesla said something to the governor that made him think, oh, the construction is definitely going to start, but now maybe things have changed. But the reason for nothing having started yet is not necessarily a bad reason. The governor also said it looks like the plant is going to be bigger than Tesla thought. Anyway, not seeing the construction begin yesterday could be one of the reasons why Tesla stock is presenting us with a buying opportunity today. Tesla is in talks with Thailand's government for a potential production facility in the country, having conducted a site survey late last year, an official from the Prime Minister's office said today. We are not really hearing much about India, and now instead we are hearing about Thailand. And by the way, Thailand is Southeast Asia's largest car producer and exporter, and it even has ambitions to become the main EV production hub in the region. It does not necessarily mean that Tesla is going to build a huge factory in the country. It could mean that Tesla is maybe going to build an assembly plant, which is what Troy thinks is going to happen with India specifically. Tesla may also build some sort of a Megapack production facility, but it could also be a full-on vehicle factory. As I'm recording, Tesla stock is presenting with a bigger buying opportunity today, and I think it has to do with this headline. Tesla China shipments plunged to lowest in more than a year, but it is critical to know that the Chinese New Year started on February 10th this year, whereas in 2023, it started on January 22nd. That's why February shipments were down year over year. And during the Chinese New Year, for a little while, the whole country basically just shuts down. I've been there during that time. Nothing really is open. It is embarrassing for Bloomberg to report that the sales year over year were down 19% without mentioning the Chinese New Year. However, I do understand why some traders would sell based on this news. If you compare last year's Q1, our current quarter, you can see that our current year is behind last year's first 2 months so far. And both of them had the Chinese New Year in the first 2 months, but because it was in February this year, I don't think everything has gone back to normal yet. So even comparing the first 2 months, I don't think it's a completely fair comparison. We need to have the whole quarter to really have a very fair comparison. And most importantly, the whole new energy vehicle wholesale market, which includes plugins, that whole market is down 34% from January. Tesla, though, is only down 15%. And this is what I have been talking about for almost 18 months or so. When Tesla cuts prices, yeah, there's going to be some pain for Tesla stock. But there's going to be more pain for other companies, which in the short term, it hurts everyone, but it hurts the competition a little bit more. And eventually in the long term, it actually gives Tesla an advantage with multiple competitors beginning to fold. And if not folding, then struggling big time. By the way, pretty much every pure BEV automaker is down substantially today, especially the Chinese automakers. Xpeng down 7%, NIO down 6%, everything's down. As a long-term investor, my assessment is, when there's blood on the streets, buy, even if it's your own blood. A few countries in Europe just reported their sales, and this is Netherlands. Belgium did extremely well, outperforming the previous quarter in the first 2 months, but it's a small country. Turkey is not really getting the vehicles yet, is what I think is most likely happening. There's Israel. In a few days, we should have reports combining all of the European sales into one nice chart. We know for sure that Tesla is running ads on X. However, it seems that people in the Tesla community are not really seeing these ads, which is actually good because it means Tesla is excluding these people that are really familiar with Tesla and is mostly, or hopefully only, targeting people that know almost nothing about Tesla. And Alexandra confirms this by saying, I see them on my 2 other accounts, and she's not seeing ads on that one, but she sees Tesla ads on her 2 other accounts. Now, I have never seen a Tesla ad other than someone else telling me, oh, I saw a Tesla ad. As a consumer, I have never seen one, and that's good because I know so much about Tesla, so hopefully Tesla is excluding me on purpose. Yesterday, I shared some pictures from the drone flyover of this land where Tesla is supposedly going to build the Megapack Factory, and construction should begin this March, so very soon, could begin within days really. And the location of this land is less than a kilometer away from Giga Shanghai.
Yeah, right and left and you're done. Stop for the red. It's proceeding. Needs to get all the way over it. Oh my god.
Just with the
dude! It just got all the...
That was cool.
Ground to cover, I guess, so it... Okay, we have the green now. So it was able to make the move fine. Let's see if it does it again.
See?
So 3 for 3.
It's really impressive how human-like FSD V12 really is. The video caption says, FSD is no joke. It's set on the aggressive setting. And is it really gonna go through that? Well, it's set on the aggressive setting. It's still going. It's still on FSD. No disengagement as far as I can tell. Wow. Okay. This is seriously amazing. I don't think V11 would have ever done anything like that smoothly. I think it would have done a lot of this, threatening to basically get into an accident. And here's the car doing a U-turn.
And our pickup is going to do a U-turn in front of us, and we're going to do it with less
turning radius.
Well, that's pretty easy. We're in a Model 3.
That was so smooth. The first screen is going up at Tesla's drive-in theater. It's also going to be a diner, so that's nice to see. Maybe one day I will visit that actual location when I visit California. I don't have any plans to really go there. I used to go to California a lot, maybe 8 years ago, but not anymore. All of my friends are leaving California and they're happy about it. They don't want to go back. I covered the debate yesterday between Gary Black and Farzad, and today it continues. As soon as Elon throws his weight behind advertising, Farzad and other Tesla stock bulls will get behind it. I saw the same thing happen with the 25,000 next generation vehicle, as many of us championed it, and Elon insisted it wasn't something they were working on and then embraced it last year. Farzad, though, fires back with, I love that you're taking credit for the $25,000 car, even though it's been part of the plan for a decade. But Gary defends himself with not taking any credit for Farzad. You're rewriting history, my friend, just pointing out how much poop people gave me for championing the next generation vehicle back in 2021. And then when I objected loudly, when Elon said it wasn't a focus on the 2021 Q4 call, it should have been Tesla's focus for the past 4 years. You know, there's a silver lining actually in the next generation vehicle being delayed, and that silver lining is if you are still buying quite a bit of Tesla stock like me, then you're buying it at a much cheaper price, because eventually I believe very strongly that the stock will skyrocket again, and the next generation vehicle is going to be an important part of it. If by now Tesla would have released the next generation vehicle, the stock probably would be quite a bit higher, because instead of deliveries sort of flattening and not really growing all that much this year, we would have almost certainly had 50% year-over-year growth in 2024 if the next generation vehicle would have been released early enough. However, with a lot of automakers choosing to slow down their EV adoption, with Mercedes, for example, strongly backtracking their plans, With Tesla having delayed the next generation vehicle, I don't think we will see other companies get ahead of Tesla. And for anyone really worried about some competitor beating Tesla somehow, just remember that the Nissan Leaf was released in December of 2010. The Model 3 was released in 2017. 7 years later, and the Model 3 absolutely annihilated the market. And so did the Model Y, and so will the next generation vehicle. Tesla is not necessarily a company to bring a vehicle to the segment before anyone else. But what Tesla does do very well is bring the best vehicle in the segment for the amount of money that you are going to pay for it, making it a clear choice if you value your money. And with mass market vehicles, people really value their money. So I think the next generation vehicle is going to be by far the most successful vehicle that Tesla has released to date. You know, I just, looking at this, I just don't really know what to say. The Orlando Porche dealership who bought a Tesla Cybertruck for $244,000 the other day is now selling it for $290,000 just a few days later. It's a Dual Motor Foundation series if you want to buy it. I don't think the dealership is going to be in trouble for selling this Cybertruck because it's reselling a resold Cybertruck already, so I don't think they have a contract with Tesla in any way, shape, or form. But the first person who sold it to this dealership, I think that person is in deep trouble. There is a fierce debate going on between James and Omar on X right now. We are seeing the consequences of Tesla's price war play out in the EV space. Legacy has just said, screw it, we're not doing this, we're out, we can just lobby the politicians we have in our pockets to extend EV credits to plug-in hybrids and water down regulation, or we will pay some small fines. But the Chinese are saying, no, screw you, game on. And this is bad for everyone because the total amount of industry profits is collapsing. A much smarter approach by Tesla, the global market leader and pioneer in this space, would have been to invest in building the value around EVs and aggressively attacking the share of mind for consumers who still, more than 80% of them globally, are buying ICE, or by launching new products in ICE-dominated vehicle segments. But we know that Tesla chose war. For any other company that is not Tesla, I think it is the wrong approach to start a price war because you are not in the best position to win the war. Tesla is. Tesla has the best margins, as in they can cut the price the most, and in the end, their vehicles would be the cheapest still. Omar responds with, you are mixing up cause and effect. We don't have deflation in China because Tesla decided to cut prices. Tesla decided to cut prices because it was necessary given the deflationary environment in China and in the highly competitive EV industry in particular. But James says true in China, but this strategy was and is global, and it was and is wrong. It was the right strategy and you are wrong. These Chinese EV makers are now exporting to Europe and they are headed to the US too. Don't be blind. Those who cannot make affordable EVs will be left behind. Your strategy of high prices is a death sentence for the company in the long term, I think is what Omar says. And I think Omar has a fair point. But James responds with, dude, they're cutting prices when people don't even know what the prices are. I mean, this is peak managerial stupidity. I just talked to someone a few days ago who is not really familiar with Tesla. And the first thing that he mentioned to me when he found out I make videos about Tesla is, oh, I heard they cut prices. So certainly some people are finding out about the new prices. But I think James does have a fair point when I tell people that have not heard about Tesla much, they get surprised how much cheaper they have gotten. James fires back with, they did cut recently, big cuts in January, up to 4,800 in China as of March 1st. Inventory discount starting now in Europe. It is endless. The price increases for $100 to $250 on Model 3. They aren't even building right now. Now doesn't move the needle. Well, it cannot be endless, as Omar, eventually the price just gets to $0. Unless they start paying people to buy the cars. If they did that, would Elon still blame the interest rate, says James? Ooh, Ooh, someone crashed their Cybertruck. Is this a drunk celebrity that did it? Someone says the Beverly Hills Hotel valet did it, but I don't think this account is credible. I'm not able to find much information about this yet. More info will probably come out very soon. But AJ is increasing his Tesla revenue forecast by $120,000. Speaking of Cybertrucks, what do you do in this situation? This is just wild. Do you just wait for the snow to melt? You just wait until the spring comes? Or do you shuffle non-stop for I don't know how long this would take? I'm not sure if it's Canada, but it does seem very Canadian. If that's the case, welcome to Canada. I liked this debate. Tesla is the one being cornered in China. Tesla China can only maintain its market share by cutting prices, which hurts its margins. Surrounded by smarter Chinese EVs, Tesla has no technological advantage and will continue to lose market share. AJ says everyone is discounting. Early last year, we found out that the Chinese automakers tried to stop Tesla from discounting since they have no margin to fight back. Authorities then struck down their attempt of collusion, so your assessment is completely wrong. Tesla is the predator. The others are the prey that are being destroyed as we speak. It takes some time. Right now, only small companies are going out of business, but the bigger companies are certainly feeling the effects of these price cuts too. So your assessment is completely wrong. Tesla is the predator. The others are the prey. You make it sound it was the opposite. Show me one, just one Chinese pure play EV maker with a positive operating margin in China. I can show you one. Tesla. So from Jason, I expect a response with a list of automakers showing their operating margin and showing how close they are to making a whole lot of money. Instead, here's what we get. Regardless of who Tesla's competitors are, whether they specialize in pure EV or other sectors, business is business. Some companies may leverage sales from ICE vehicles or smartphones to support their electric vehicle division, aiming to outcompete Tesla. It's a zero-sum game. You're now just blurting platitudes, not worth my time to respond. Frankly, you're avoiding the argument. I am done here, says AJ. You cannot subsidize a failing business forever. At some point, you have to say, this is not working. We're done here. I think AJ has a very good explanation of why Tesla dropped the robotic arm that would automatically plug your Tesla. I'm not going to read it, but price, I think, is a huge issue here. Turns out, I was just doing research very quickly. NIO, the automaker, looked into this earlier, and they said, for them, it would cost 100,000 yuan to make, so about almost $14,000. Now, I think Tesla could do it for a lot cheaper, but it would still probably end up costing a few $1,000s. Would I pay a few extra $1,000s to eliminate the need of me plugging in my car when I park it, let's say, in my garage? I think most people would say, no, I'm plugging it in myself. It's no big deal. But when robotaxis come out, that tech could make a lot of sense unless wireless charging by then gets really good and very little energy is lost. By the way, NIO is about to report its earnings. I've seen a few people say that the lawsuit that Elon Musk started against OpenAI is actually a waste of time for Elon Musk. But if you think that Tesla will eventually build a successful robot, humanoid robot, this is not a waste of time because OpenAI is working with Figure to develop these humanoid robots as well. And I think that lawsuit is going to at least a little bit slow down OpenAI, which actually works in Tesla's favor, I would argue. BYD is making another move. It just slashed price on its best-selling SUV to $16,000 to compete with gas cars. BYD is certainly a serious competitor and is something that we should keep an eye on. The Wall Street Journal has a pretty good article about how these Chinese automakers are releasing so many different models so quickly. Chinese automakers are around 30% quicker in development than legacy manufacturers, industry executives say, largely because they have upended global practices built around decades of making complex combustion engine cars. They work on many stages of development at once. They are willing to substitute traditional suppliers for smaller, faster ones. They run more virtual tests instead of time-consuming mechanical ones, which could have some serious downsides if something was not taken into account, but it does contribute to new models being launched much quicker. And they are redefining when a car is ready to sell on the market, writes Wall Street Journal. And then let's not forget generous government stimulus policies for these automakers. Cars launched last year contributed to 90% of China's passenger car sales growth, according to the country's Passenger Car Association, because Chinese buyers tend to prefer new or recently released cars. The cars have a short shelf life. Domestic EV makers offer models for sale for an average of 1.3 years before they are updated or refreshed, compared to 4.2 years for foreign brands. Also, talking to some of my friends in Shanghai, people over there seem to be a lot more concerned about their status, and they definitely don't want to lose face. And buying a vehicle that looks like it was made 4 years ago instead of a vehicle that looks like it was made a year ago makes a difference for many of these consumers, because they think that their friends are going to judge them, and they are actually right, they do get judged. Concerns about China-made cars are increasing. On Thursday, the Biden administration said it would investigate foreign car technology, citing potential national security risks from China. And we already know that the Europeans are doing something similar as well, blaming China for subsidizing its automakers and then flooding the European market with these cars. Also, China's EV boom is so recent that it remains to be seen whether there are any trade-offs between faster development and vehicle safety and quality, but the Chinese don't care as much about safety and quality. Many consumers over there would rather pay a little bit less. Chinese car makers insist they make no compromises, but some in the industry say their focus is on seeking growth first, whereas legacy car makers foster a robust system around meeting safety and quality standards. I am pretty sure some corners are definitely cut in some places, and that negatively affects the quality of the vehicles. But it will take a few more years for us to know whether that's really the case or not. However, what BYD is doing here is just a good business practice and is smart. In the case of BYD, delivery time from a Japanese mold supplier has been cut to around 6 months from at least a year since it bought the company more than a decade ago. BYD did so by involving experts from the supplier to advise on molding from the early stage and set its design earlier in the development process. This is amazing. EV infrastructure startup Gravity Mobility has opened 24 500 kilowatt chargers in New York on Monday. The devices can charge at a rate of 2,400 miles of range per hour, or 200 miles in 5 minutes. That's over 300 kilometers in 5 minutes. In the future, charging is certainly not going to be an issue. It will be very fast, but now we need vehicles that can actually take this charging speed. I am about to buy some more Tesla stock. This is it for today's episode. Thank you so much for watching. Leave your comments down below. Are you buying more? Are you not buying more? And I'll be reading the comments, and I'll see you in tomorrow's episode. Again, thank you so much for watching.